Well, when I first got the house, this part of the studio was here. It wasn't soundproof or anything, but it was just like a little writing garage, like a writing studio. And a songwriter used to live here, actually. So I walked in and saw his guitars and the couch, and it had a good vibe in the place. And I'm like, this is a good, vibe for creation. This is good. So when we remodeled the house, and I got the place in 2002, I decided to build it out as a full production studio. So we added a whole second 500 square foot room from scratch, floating floors, floating walls, and ceilings, and resilient channels and sheet blocks and all of that. So built it up really, from scratch to be completely soundproof, and also all of the materials that do the sound design inside. And so yeah, all the walls everything plugs into the patch bay. So. And that was the first thing, the first challenge to figure out was the patch bay for someone who doesn't have engineering experience. But I learned it, and yeah, so here we are. Well, I had a bunch of stuff, but I didn't have a drum kit, I didn't have a piano, and there's a lot that I purchased when I put the studio together. The drums, Tama, Pearl, love these drums, great sounding drums. You never stop buying. And I'm addicted to gear, but there's no room. I'm always trying to create room and get rid of stuff. I had a foosball table in the corner, and that had to go away for more keyboards, and I want a bigger couch, and I want to make it more usable. When I was first setting up the studio, I just wanted to make sure that I had a really good analog preamp and a compressor, so I got those. I got the Brent Averill Neve 1073 and the Universal Audio 1176. And the distressor, and then kept on buying extra outboard gear. I don't have a lot of outboard gear, but a couple of cool delay units and whatnot, vocal units, and I started out with a full Pro Tools TDM 192s. I play around with a lot of different DAWs. I use Logic, I use Reason, and a lot of things. I like having different tools because it forces you to create differently, or just use an aspect of it, or whatever. Pro Tools is still my main kind of mixing body and audio production. There's two things. One is you need enough space to be creative. So you need not to be overwhelmed and distressed about the habitual regularities of life. The phone calls, the emails, the work that we all have to do what we do, So you need time away from that, and sometimes it's harder to get that time. The muse is always there. I mean, it always comes, in my case, as long as I have the time to be open to receiving it. And that usually happens when I have a break from my habit, not necessarily doing the same things, or out of town at my place in New Zealand, or here, and it's a late night and there's nothing going on and it's completely quiet. You're able to channel into that music, I guess. And whatever comes out is whatever comes out. I record pretty much anything and everything, and I'll start recording on a small, digital recorder at a piano or acoustic guitar just to get an idea down. When the idea is good enough to record, then I'll just fire it up and record it, and then keep it in a demo form, and then develop it over time as I need to work on a project or whatever. But I'm always writing. I've got 600 plus pieces. Some are classical, some are rock, some are electronic, some are noise, some are experimental, some are metal, some are goth, some are acoustic, you name it, like all sorts of stuff. And I end up using them for different projects. I'm using a bunch of my stuff for the musical that I'm doing right now. That's going to open next year in March. So it depends. What I do is basically it's just I try to get everything into Pro Tools. In other words, if I'm not recording into Pro Tools, if I'm just playing around, I don't know, in Reason or Acid or Logic or something like that, and have something done, I'll import it into Pro Tools. That way I know that everything's in Pro Tools. And even if I don't do anything in Pro Tools at that moment, I'll keep it there just so I know that there's another song out that I just created. And then when I'm looking for stuff, I don't really categorize it based on genre or anything like that. And when it comes to a project, then I'll go listening. I'll go check them out. What I've done over time is I've done a bunch of bounces from a lot of the tracks, like almost nice little sub-mixes for a composer site that I have that I upload to, so that it's kind of like my reel for film composing or anything else that I want to do, or licensing. And so instead of sending out DVDs or CDs to filmmakers and producers and whatnot, I just do it on a site. That actually is a great way of keeping track for me, because the tracks are not genre specific, but they're divided by like action or horror or that, more a film genre classification. So it's easier for me to find out if I'm looking for a vibe of a song. I'll just go to that site that I've got it uploaded to and basically look it up, and then go to my main files on the computer, open up the session, there it is, and whatever I want to do to it. So I've got kind of like a semi-organizational thing going on. It's not totally organized, but I know where everything is and what everything is.